Games are won and lost in the trenches. One of the best offensive tackles in the 2025 NFL draft class is Minnesota's own Aireontae Ersery. I'm going to discuss what he brings to the table, the strength, the power, the athleticism, and how high he could go. That and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a senior draft analyst, and thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about NFL Draft Stock Watch. The stock is up for Minnesota offensive tackle Aireontae Ersery, wide receiver from UNLV, Ricky White. What does he bring to the table? And then a rising interior defensive lineman, big physical defensive tackle, Damonte Capehart from Clemson. But guys, before we can get in on all of that, we got to talk about the fact that today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Aireontae Ersery from the University of Minnesota, one of those Golden Gophers, I think is their mascot. He's listed at 6'6", 325 pounds, second team All Big Ten in 2023, All Big Ten honorable mention in 2022. This is a physically gifted offensive tackle prospect with great strength, length, and movement skills to live on an island as a potential franchise left tackle. Things that he brings to the table that I absolutely love: the movement power in the zone run game. We all know that. I think about 15 to 17 teams in the league projected this season heading into the 2024 NFL season are supposed to be running that West Coast zone, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan type of offense. What do they run? Zone blocking, zone run game, zone scheme runs. And Aireontae Ersery is great on those runs. Talking about getting his hands getting his hands placed properly, right? That outside hand placed on the rib cage, right underneath the armpit of the defender, and washing that guy down the line of scrimmage, displacing them horizontally and laterally. And just the physicality and strength that he brings to it. He is a block finisher. He has a finishing mentality. There's reps of him getting his hands latched on guys, running his feet, torquing and contorting his torso, and pinning and putting guys in the dirt, blocking them out of the frame. He's a quick, agile, and athletic mover. I'm telling you guys, he has the NFL-ready frame and arm length, and his core strength, again, to torque and turn defenders at the point of attack is plus level. I love it. Now, I think that he can improve his hand fighting technique, hand combat techniques. He has low hand carriage. His punch timing can be a little early. You want him just to kind of, continue to work on that and iron that his process out. He could be a little bit of a waist bender and overextending in pass protection, get a little bit over his skis, right? Leaning too far over his toes, open them up to the push-pull technique. And then, you want to see him consistently anchor and leverage better versus those speed to power rushers. I think it was against Michigan. They have some, I think it's Josiah Stewart, who's a shorter, stockier, low center of gravity type of edge rusher. And there's a clear height distinction and difference between him and Ersery, and he was able to naturally win and maintain the leverage battles on some of those pass rush snaps, getting his hands into the chest plate, driving, speed to power conversion, things of that nature, man. But for me, with Ersery being 6'5", 6'6", he's at a little bit of a natural disadvantage. But I think if he can close that marker or where his hands are, and be able to protect his chest, and kind of like Mr. Miyagi, right? Teaching it to Karate Kid, wax on, wax off, right? Be able to block and knock those hands down, get his hands latched in nice and tight. Now he controls the rep because he's a physically strong young man, and he upper body wise especially. And I think he's also on the freaks list, if I'm not mistaken, by over at The Athletic. I'm pretty sure he's on the freaks list, and This young man is just from Bruce Feldman. I'm telling you now, like I think he's a top 25, I believe, on the freaks list and everything. So yeah, with Ersery, you just want him to just clean up some of those, just simple things. Yeah, he's the 25th guy on the list, right? And just kind of to give you some pointed some notes here, per Bruce Feldman in the freaks list, his report that he drops every year talking about the best athletes in college football. Ersery squatted 640 pounds, benched 412, and did a 409-pound hand clean this offseason. But he also showcased his wheels, which is a very impressive part of his process and athleticism. He had a 1.52 second 10-yard split, a program record for offensive linemen, and clocked at 18.34 miles per hour on the GPS. Also posted a 27.5-inch vertical, 9.2 broad, along with a pro shuttle time of a 4.61. This is a 6'6", 325 pound human being. Like 330, he has him listed here. He's grown. I think he has grown into and added a little bit of weight. So anyway, regardless, he's a freak at the tackle position. And for me, I think about the fact that we saw J.C. Latham, we saw Talise Fuaga, two right tackles who teams are slated to play at left tackle that were drafted top 20 in the first round of the 2024 NFL draft class. I think Aireontae Ersery is a guy whose stock is going to be up. If you are not familiar, please get familiar with this young man because he can ball. Against JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer, the two stud edge rushers from Ohio State, he was out there pitching the shutout, out there really locking things down. And I'm telling you right now, per PFF, even in the article, Ersery only allowed one pressure on 23 blocking snaps combined against those two edge rushers. So you're talking about going up against some of the best in the Big Ten and in the country, and to only allow what did I say? One pressure on those 23 combined pass rush snaps. They had very little success. They weren't able to put JT Tuimoloau. I love speed, the power. He loves to power through guys. This isn't the guy you're going to power through. And he has enough athleticism, explosiveness off the ball at the snap, and quick enough feet and agile lateral agility and quickness to mirror and match guys, but also get out of the blocks quick, get to his set point, and now take the wind and the air out of your pass rush. I absolutely love what he brings to the table. And I really think that this is a name that we might hear as a first-round pick of the 2025 NFL draft class because teams still need to protect their quarterbacks. But, guys, coming up next, we're going to go to UNLV. All right, we're going to talk about their star wide receiver who transferred from Michigan State 2 seasons ago, Ricky White, explosive vertical threat. We're going to talk about what he brings to the table and if his stock is up or down. That and more coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. And school is getting ready to start back up. The summertime is coming to an end. Fathers, mothers, families, why not go to your favorite local or out-of-state major league ballpark and go see your favorite team play when you have the chance and opportunity? Guys, I'm telling you right now, you will have the chance to buy tickets. Their tickets are easy to find and buy for every kind of event in your area, especially MLB. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. UNLV wide receiver Ricky White, a guy that transferred from the Big Ten from Michigan State, listed at 6'1", 190 pounds, coming off of being a first-team All-Mountain West Conference in 2023. This is a player who brings linear explosiveness and athleticism with field stretching speed to take the top off defenses and generate explosive plays in the passing game. The straight line speed to threaten the vertical plane. He has good feel for the game and spatial awareness, ball tracking down the field. He tracks it well over their shoulders, and he shows toughness at the catch point and working within high traffic areas. He's not afraid to work with bodies around him and come down and bring and reel in those tough grabs in those physical confined spaces. He's kind of a forward-leaning route runner. He has some slips out of his break point, especially on that they play, playing in Las Vegas. They play on, I believe, in the Raider Stadium, so that turf, artificial turf, he slips on that. Strength in the contact window. He struggles to beat press man coverage. Now, yes, the NFL plays a lot of zone, but they are going to do whatever they have to do to take away what you do best. And if your best trait is running to green grass and being explosive, being a vertical linear athlete, let's put an obstacle in front of you and let's slow that down, right? It's like a horse that's going like, whoa, 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 let's slow it down. And let's put a defender there. If you're struggling with physicality and strength in the contact window, let's get our hands on you and see how you handle it. Let's see if you can really fight back from being rerouted. But also, for me, the things I saw on tape was there was some hip stiffness and tightness at the top of his breaks, where at 6'1", 190, you just don't expect to see that, to be completely honest. And that was something that I noticed, honestly, that I noticed on film, that it wasn't the greatest takeaway for me. But this is a guy, I think I ended up giving him a 3rd-round grade. And I think that he, you think about Robbie Anderson, just that vertical threat to a passing attack. And I think he's going to be a great fit for teams that prioritize running the ball, maybe not super heavy, but prioritize running the ball and then bringing that speed threat down the field, right? You think about the Darnell Mooney's, that one good year he had in Chicago and, everything. Now he's trying to remake his career with the Atlanta Falcons. I think, Ricky White can bring some of that. He's in an offense that isn't in the NFL, but bits and pieces are. And that's because, shout out to my guy, coach, offensive coordinator, Brennan Marion. He created the go-go offense, right? And he puts White in a lot of advantageous situations, whether he's inside at the slot, or outside on the boundary or to the field. Doesn't really matter. He makes impact plays with that linear straight line speed. But again, this is an offense similar to like the air raid, the spread concepts. It gets you advantageous looks as a wide receiver. So if in that particular situation, if you're not accustomed to beating multiple coverages and handling zone and press man and cover 2 and cover 4, cover 6, whatever, right? If you're not accustomed to beating those things from a traditional alignment, there could be some drawback in terms of the delay in the development. But when you look at Ricky White, like I said, Robbie Anderson brought big time playmaking wherever he was in the NFL, and Ricky White reminds me a lot of him. And like you said, you see some ability at the catch point as well. He's really good on double moves, especially like sluggos and out and ups. He's able to really manipulate and sell those routes out of the break very well, forcing the DB to bite forward and trigger downhill, allowing him to just cut back upfield and run past his defender. Yes, Ricky White, like I said, 6'1", 190, a guy that I expect to run 4.4s at worst. He has that type of speed. He's a guy you want to get the ball in his hands too. He can make some plays after the catch. And I think for whoever drafts him, I think it's going to be big to pair him with established number 1, probably number 2. And another name to throw out there in terms of what he could become is Trey Palmer, who out of college, he was at LSU, then he went to Nebraska, and he got drafted, I believe it was last year, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, brought some big play making ability to them and for them, for that offense and everything. Is he the most well-rounded guy? Not necessarily, but he still brought a lot to the table in that regard. So I just look at it like this with Ricky White. There's opportunities for him to, and this is going to be a big season, right? So this is a big season for him. I think if he can improve on dislodging hands and beating press coverage, beating press alignment, things of that nature, I think he's going to really help himself. But we got to get there first. We need to see it on the field because that's going to really help answer the question. Because anytime you're a smaller receiver, kind of thinner, sub 200 pounds, they want to see how you handle that physicality. They want to see how you handle guys trying to reroute you and get their hands on you at the line of scrimmage. How do you handle being pushed and shoved around mid-stem by physical defenders, right? Whether it's a linebacker, a safety, or a corner. You kind of have to answer the bell. Have to answer that question. And I think, again, improving as a route runner as well, right? Like, not even though I say he has like some hip stiffness, I don't think it's something that can't be improved with stretching and things of that nature, being a little bit more fluid in the hips. You want to get those hips to being oily rather than stiff and rigid. So it's just some simple things I think he can work on and probably move his grade up from 3rd round for me to the 2nd round. But again, you need those explosive type playmakers, guys. So you need that. And we appreciate everything they bring to the table. Next up, guys, we're going to close this show out with Clemson defensive tackle, interior defensive lineman, DeMonte Capehart. Guys, physical, strong, run stopper, versatile with this alignment. We're going to talk about all of that and more coming up next. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn also knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Next up, we have, to close out this show, Clemson interior defensive lineman Damonte Capehart, listed at 6'4", 320 pounds. And guys, I got to be honest with you, this is a massive, powerful human being. And shout out to Jim Nagy with the measurements on his arms. He put that out on Twitter. 33 and 7/8 on the arm, 10 and 1/8 on the hand. This is a physically disruptive interior defensive lineman who moves blockers with brute force and strength relatively easily to clear his path to the backfield. He's a backfield merchant. And you don't sometimes, guys, we've seen so many big physical defensive linemen come into the league. We've seen the Jordan Davises, right? We saw the power yet fluid agility and swiftness of a Jalen Carter. And even on this podcast, we've talked about the big kid from Kentucky, right? And I don't know why I'm blanking on his name at this particular moment. But I'm blanking on his name. But yeah, as I look it up, because I'm going to look it up. Deion Walker. Sorry, there we go. So as we talk about these type of guys, the thing that stands out typically is like, man, being big, physical, massive human beings with great arm length and power. Like Damonte Capehart fits that type of mold. A guy that can, like, his power is overwhelming. His power and his force is overwhelming. There's a rep, I think he's got multiple reps, but there's a rep against North Carolina where he basically folded the center almost like an accordion and just walked him, like just literally put him on his back immediately after the snap. You talk about knockback power. You want to discuss and highlight power. That's what Damonte Capehart is. He embodies the phrase powerhouse, powerful, and that's what he brings. He's a 2-gap run defender and run stopper. He's got good athleticism and a good athlete for size. He gets off the ball fairly quickly. Heavy-handed striker, a guy that can really, with his punches, they pack power and jolt to really shock offensive lineman. Like that's what I said. It's overwhelming when you see his punches land and guys are immediately trending backwards, right? It's like a reverse stock market. I guess they start like a stock is about to crash in the stock market. It's trending downward, and that's what it looks like when he engages with these guys. Excuse me. But also he's alignment versatile. You remember those early 2000 Steeler, Raven, Patriot, maybe even some Jet defensive lines, right? Where you just had a big 340-pound nose tackle, right? That two gap at the zero tech, but their five techs were 300 to 310, sometimes 320. That's what DeMonte brings. He can play the 0, the 1, the 2-eye, the 3, 4, and I believe he could play some 5 if you absolutely needed him to. And I think that's where it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. And the reason why I say that is because when we talk about Deion Walker from Kentucky, it's the thing with him is poor pad level. He pops up like a jack in the box. He's not great in the run game, right? In terms of stopping the run. He's more of a backside run defender than stopping the run at him, right? You kind of want to run at Deion Walker a little bit and make him play with low pad level. Like for me, I watched the Damonte Capehart, and I saw a guy that played well, keep his shoulders low, driving through the phase, and then engaging and displacing guys, not just popping straight up and being a jack in the box with broad shoulders and an open exposed chest where guys could just, hey, let's go ahead and play this game and we can dance, but I'm gonna go ahead and get my hands latched onto you, right? And now you have to get my hands off of you, and those offensive linemen are strong as well. So he's the opposite. Capehart's the opposite of Walker. I think Walker, which again, Walker has shown he is a very, very versatile and nuanced pass rusher. Like he said, he's like the Latu Latu of defensive tackles, which is still such a crazy way to break that down and phrase that, but nonetheless, it's the truth. So when I look at him, he's different, right? And that's one of the things with Capehart is the limited action in 2023. He barely averaged 20 snaps to 25 snaps a game, right? So that what does that do? Like you want to see him handle full workload because he hasn't had the chance to do that. And then also the pass rush maneuvers. Anytime a defensive lineman is over 310 to 20 pounds, you're gonna have questions like how many snaps can you play a game? What type of workload can we give you? Things of that nature. And yeah, people are going to question it. They're going to be concerned, things of that nature. And he's going to have to answer the bell, right? Step up to the plate and handle that business. But I think he can. And again, just with adding reps, now you want to see the pass rush process. How do you add to the power? What finesse, quick moves, double hand swipe, a swipe with the long arm over combination, right? Push pull technique. What a push into the rip, like a bull rush into the rip move and get into the backfield, right? Can you soften the angles with quickness, suddenness, efficiency, and with finesse, where players are going to be prepared for your power? Granted, I'm not going to lie, you can be prepared. It's not always going to work out for you being prepared for his power, but still someone will be strong enough, right? And next year in college football to stalemate him at the line of scrimmage and not let him reset it. So that's where the hand maneuvers and hand counters and hand fighting comes into play. But they use him on twists and stunts. He shows good ankle flexion and hip fluidity to turn and corner. I think this is just a young man that we're about to see him in full, right? He is just scratching the surface and what he can and can't do. And I think that's going to be the big thing for him in that growth that he has to make. And if so, guys, I'm telling you now, 6'4", 320, elite power, displacement ability, elite run defending ceiling, but a plus level pass rushing ceiling as well. Yeah, that screams first round pick. That screams first round pick all day, every day, and twice on Sundays. But guys, that's our show. Talking about Damonte Capehart, Ricky White, wide receiver from UNLV, and offensive tackle Aireontae Ersery from Minnesota. Thank you so much for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot, for being our every Dayers. Keith is traveling today, coming back from an event, so he's coming back. And tomorrow we can get into previewing some of these preseason games and the players we need to watch. Bryce Young is not playing in week 1 of the preseason. We're going to talk about that. And is that a good sign, a bad sign? What is it? How do we feel? We break all that down tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.